Hey dads, your kids can tell when you're faking it. It's costing you more than you think. Here's how to fix it before it's too late. So you're sitting at dinner. Your kid is telling you all about their day. You're nodding, making eye contact, doing all the dad things. But in your head, you're still at that 3 o'clock meeting. Or you're thinking about that email you still need to send, or your hand is literally hovering over your phone. And then your kid stops talking, looks at you, and says, "Dad, are you even listening?" They know. And today we're going to change that. In the last episode, we talked about the assignment. God didn't just give you kids, He gave you a calling. You're not just a provider, you're a steward of their hearts. But here's the problem. You can know all that and still lose the war. Because the enemy isn't just trying to take you out, he's trying to distract you to death. Think about it. How many times this week did you walk in the door still thinking about work? Sit on the couch and immediately pull out your phone? Or half listen to your kid while you're scrolling through Instagram? Maybe you yell, "Just a minute," from another room and never actually show up. Yeah, me too. And that hurts to think about. You see, we've bought into two lies. Lie number one, quality time makes up for zero margin. You tell yourself, "I don't get much time with them, but when I do, it's good." Except it's not, because you're exhausted, you're distracted, and they can feel it. Lie number two, they're fine, they don't notice. Oh, but they do. They notice. They notice when your phone is more interesting than their story. They notice when you're in the room, but you're not really there. They notice when you're too tired to care. And here's what's wild. You're not a bad dad. You're just a busy one. You're working hard for them, but you're missing out on them. And one day, you're going to wake up and realize they're 17 and you have no idea who they actually are. So let me ask you, what's stealing your attention? And more importantly, are you willing to fight to get it back? Real quick, if you missed the last episode, here's where we are. This is a series called Father Formed, 5 episodes, 5 lies, 5 biblical frameworks. Last week, the assignment. What God calls you to be as a father. Today, presence. Winning the war for your attention. Next week, authority without anger. Each episode ends with 3 dad reps. Simple practices you can start today. By the end of this series, you'll have a complete playbook to get you started for biblical fatherhood. But none of it works if you're not actually present. So let's get into it. Let's go back to Psalm 90. Moses is writing, and he's old now. He's led God's people through the wilderness for 40 years. He's watched an entire generation live and die, and he writes this: "So teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom." That's Psalm 90, verse 12. Number our days. Not hustle through them, not survive them, not check the box and move on. Number them. Count them. Pay attention to them. Because Moses knew something we've forgotten. Time doesn't care about your intentions. It just moves on. And every day you're distracted is a day you don't get back. Now flip over to the Gospels. Jesus had 12 guys. 3.5 years, and you know what he didn't do? He didn't multitask. He didn't try to figure out his way through discipleship while he was doing other things. He didn't disciple them from a distance. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm really busy. I'm changing the world here, but I'll FaceTime you later." No. He walked with them. He ate with them. He noticed them. When Peter was sinking, Jesus didn't text him some encouragement. He reached out his hand. Because presence isn't passive. Presence is power. And your kids are desperate for presence. Here's what most of us don't realize. Attention is really love in a visible form. When you give someone your attention, you're saying, you matter. You're worth my time. And when you withhold it, you're saying the opposite, even if you don't mean to. So let me ask you something. What gets your best attention? Your phone? Your work? Your hobbies, the news, sports? Now ask yourself, honestly, where do your kids rank on that list? I'm not trying to guilt you. I'm trying to wake you up. Because here's the truth. Your kids don't need a perfect schedule. They need a predictable dad. They don't need you to be available 24/7. They need to know that when you're with them, you're with them. And right now, the biggest threat to that isn't your job. It's your phone. It's your mental load. It's the fact that you're so overscheduled, overstimulated, and overconnected to everything else that you've got nothing left for them. You're losing the war for your attention. You don't even realize you're in a war. So at this point, you might be thinking, great, another sermon on being present. I've heard all this before, but hold on. Because the real problem isn't that you don't want to be present. The real problem is you don't have a plan. You don't have boundaries. You don't have rhythms. You've been told that everything else is more important. So what happens? You default. You come home, you're exhausted, and you scroll. You sit at dinner, your mind, it's somewhere else. You tuck them in, but you're already thinking about tomorrow. And slowly, day by day, you're becoming a stranger in your own home. And here's what I want you to hear. This isn't just about time management. This is spiritual warfare. The enemy knows he can't take you out. So he's just going to keep you busy, keep you distracted, keep you half present for the next 18 years until you wake up and realize you missed it all. But you can fight back, not with more willpower, not with more guilt, with rhythms, with boundaries, with intentional, repeatable practices that protect your presence. Because here's the bottom line. You can't disciple what you don't notice. You can't notice what you're not around for. Here's how we win this war. 3 moves. Write these down. Move number 1. Attention is love in a visible form. When you give your kids your full attention, even for just 2 minutes, you're preaching the gospel. You're saying you're valuable, you're seen, you matter. That's not theory, that's formation. Move number 2. Kids don't need a perfect schedule, they need a predictable dad. You don't need to be home at 5 every night. They need to know that when you are home, you're present. Predictable beats perfect every single time. Move number 3. You can't disciple what you don't notice. If you don't see them, you can't shepherd them. If you don't know what they're struggling with, you can't speak truth into it. Discipleship requires proximity, and proximity requires presence. So, here are your 3 dad reps for this week. These are small, repeatable, and non-negotiable. Dad rep number 1, the phone down doorway rule. Full transparency. I've been terrible at this, but I know it works. Every time you walk through the door, coming home, entering their room, sitting down at the table, your phone goes down, face down, silent, out of sight. No, I'll just check this real quick. Down. This is a boundary, and boundaries create presence. Dad rep number 2, 10 minutes alone with each kid weekly. Pick one kid, pick one day, 10 minutes. Just the two of you, no phones, no distractions. Ask them, what's the best part of your week so far? Then, just listen. Don't try to fix it, don't teach, just listen. Do it every week. Dad rep number 3, drive time questions. We all get time in the car with our kids. Ask them 3 questions. What's your high today? What was your low today? What did you learn today? That's it. High, low, learn. You know what this does? It trains you to notice, and it trains them to reflect on what's going on in their life. See, here's the bottom line. Your kids are only young once. They're not going to remember your hustle. They're not going to remember how many emails you answered or however many meetings that you crushed. They are going to remember if you were there. Not perfect, not entertaining, just there. Paying attention, asking questions, noticing them. And here's what I need you to hear. You are not too late. You haven't missed it. But you will if you don't decide today that presence matters more than productivity. So let me ask you one more time. What is stealing your attention? And are you willing to fight to get it back? Now you might be thinking, okay, I'm present, but when my kid disobeys, I lose it. I go from 0 to yelling in like 3 seconds. I feel you. I'm either too harsh or too soft, and I don't know how to find the middle. I get it. That's exactly what we're covering in the next episode. Authority without anger, discipline that builds, not breaks. Because here's the truth. Your kids need a dad who's strong and calm, firm and kind. And I'm going to show you how we can be both. This is where fatherhood gets hard, but it's also where God forms you into the man that your kids need. So don't miss it. And if this episode helps you, like it, share it with a brother, and subscribe to this channel. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment or a question below in the comments. I'll try to reply to every single one. And let's fight together.